This video demonstrates how to program one of these Woods digital timers. This one in particular is the 50007 and also the 50027. These are great little devices. They're inexpensive. They don't have moving parts like the manual timers, with the exception of the relay that's inside. And they have a rechargeable battery that remembers the settings and the time in case you move the device. One of the downsides of this device, though, is it's a little tricky to program, so that's what this video is about. When you receive yours, it may or may not show a time here. If yours doesn't show a time, just plug it into the wall for a few minutes. There's an internal rechargeable battery that's used to keep the settings and power the clock here, so plug it in for a few minutes. That should charge the battery, then you can unplug it and program. The first step is going to be setting this time. So I'm going to pretend it's 10 o'clock right now. So to set the time, if the clock is showing, you just hold down set for a few seconds, and then the hours will be flashing. Then you can hit the plus or minus buttons to cycle through. So I'm going to say, hey, it's 10 o'clock. And then to go and switch to the minutes, you hit set again, and then you can cycle through. And then when you are done, you hit program. Pay attention to the AM or PM up here. Make sure you have the correct AM or PM. To program the on and off times, you would hit the program button. And now it's showing the on time for program 1. This device supports up to 2 on and off times, so there's an on and off time for program 1 and an on and off time for program 2. When you are in the programming mode, these plus and minus buttons cycle through the on and off times. And so right now there's nothing programmed for program 1 on. If I hit plus, it goes to the time for program 1 off. If I hit plus again, it goes to program 2 on, and then it's program 2 and off. And it just cycles around. It loops around from the beginning to the end. So let's say I have a device that I want to turn on at 7 a.m. and turn off at 9 p.m. I am on the programming 1 on time here. I want to assign a time, so I'm going to hit set. And that'll default, if there's nothing programmed for your device, to 12 a.m. So I'm going to switch through here and say I want that to be 7 a.m. And then I will hit set. And then I have the option of going through and setting minutes. In this case, I don't want to. And then I'm going to hit set. And so now you've set the on time to 7 a.m. To set the off time, remember these plus and minus buttons, when programming is flashing, cycle through the on and off time. So I'm going to hit plus. That takes me to the off time for program 1. So now I'm going to do the same steps. So I'm going to hit set. That'll assign a default time. I'm going to hit plus. And I got to make sure I loop through, right? Because I want it to turn off at 9 p.m. And so now I'm here. If I hit set, I can change the minutes if I want to, but I'm not going to in this scenario. And then I hit set to finalize. So as I said earlier, there are additional on and off times. There's one additional on and off time you can program in setting 2 and program 2. But let's say you accidentally set this. You accidentally, I hit the set button and I didn't mean to, and you want to clear this out. If you hit the set button until it goes back to flashing these program numbers, you can hit this button up here, and that will clear it out. So now if I cycle through, right, there's no off time for 2, here's my 7 a.m. on time for 1, here's my 9 p.m. off time for 1, right? And so everything looks good. And you may be asking, well, what is the value of having 2 separate on and off times? Well, you could have a scenario where you have a light in your house that you want to turn on in the early morning, then you want it to turn off during the daytime, then you want it to turn back on in the evening. So you could set this to, the 1 on would be, 6 a.m. maybe. Your 1 off could be maybe 8 a.m. And then you could have your 2 on at 6 p.m. and maybe your 2 off at 10 p.m. So when you're done and you believe it's programmed the way you want, then you hit program, and that should return you to the time. So we're not done yet. Now there is there's the power symbol here under the plus, right? And this device supports 3 different modes. There's the on mode, the off mode, and the auto mode. And if you cycle through, hit plus, right? When it says on, that's on. That's on all the time. It doesn't pay attention to your program times. It's on permanently until you decide to turn it off. Similarly, if you cycle through here and you go to off, that's off. It doesn't matter when you programmed your times or if you programmed any times. It is off until you tell it otherwise. When it says auto, that means the device will use your program time to determine when to turn on and when to turn off. In this scenario, it says auto off, and you may be confused because, hey, there's also an auto on. Why are there two autos? There are two autos because if you wanted to have it on just for now, but turn off at your program times, you could choose auto on. If you wanted it to be off, but turn on at your program time, you could set it to auto off. So it lets you temporarily override the setting, but still use the auto feature. So in my scenario here, where it's 10 p.m., and I wanted my device to turn on at 7 a.m. and turn off at 9 p.m., I could set this to auto off, because it should be off at this time, and then at 7 a.m. the device should turn on. And that's all there is to it. Hope this video helped some of you out there.